Okay, so chapter 10, techniques of hearing and remembering. And so you'll notice that Prabhupada gives, so all the titles that we see here and the way the chapters have been divided, those are Prabhupada's design. The Prabhupada designed these chapters this way. As I mentioned early on, Nectar of Devotion is divided into oceans and waves, the way it's been presented. I think I had a slide somewhere for it. Let's see if I can pull that up. No, should already have. Yes, here, right? So as you will see that the Bhakti Ratamrita Sindhu in its original format was divided into oceans as it was called. It's a Sindhu. Sindhu means an ocean. So the ocean has four different shores: eastern, southern, western, northern. And then in each of them there are waves. So for example, Samanya Bhakti is one wave, Sadhana Bhakti is the second wave, Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti, and so forth. However, the way the chapter has been divided, it's been divided by Prabhupada, and the titles of it has also been given by Prabhupada. So, so now this part here we are seeing is hearing. There is hearing and expecting the Lord's mercy, remembrance, and meditation. There are four sections in this chapter, and this first step, hearing, is called Shravanam. It is Shravanam. So Shravanam, as we all know, that there are nine processes described by Prahlad Maharaj. Right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pad Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. So these are the nine steps of Navalakshanas of devotion. So the first of them is Shravanam, hearing. So hearing means we hear from advanced devotees, Krishna Katha. And Shravanam is Shravan can include also hearing Kirtan, right? It can include hearing Shastra also and Hari Katha also. So Shravana includes all three of them in one way. Right. But there is a difference also. So you'll see some things, they might look similar. Yes, there might be some overlap, but then there is also some distinction. So Shravan and Kirtan, for example, right? So Kirtan means loudly chanting the Lord's name. Okay. So Kirtan is the act of glorification, while Shravan is the process of hearing that glorification. So Shravan is more in a receptive nature of bhakti, receptive aspect of bhakti. Kirtan is more of a active vocal engagement, right? And Prabhupada explains in this chapter to us that Kirtan is more effective when combined with Shravan because hearing purifies the heart and allows us to chant with proper understanding and devotion. Okay. So that's something to understand. Okay. So yes, Shravana is the first one, hearing. And now there are three kinds of hearing that have been referred to in this chapter. And let me see if there is. Okay, yes. So hearing about the transcendental activities of the Lord. Okay, that's one of them. Uh, and then second one is, where will that go? Okay, yeah, transcendental activities of the Lord. So there are basically a Nama Shravan, right? Um, which Prabhupada is referring to here. Somewhere. Yes. So stress on hearing. And Prabhupada is giving the example that when a man is snake bitten, he first becomes unconscious and then and remains comatose. So by sound, we can bring him out of that unconscious stage. Right? So there are mantras that can perform this feat, as Prabhupada is telling us. So that's a very interesting thing, because sometimes we feel that what Prabhupada is saying is not corroborated by science. We start to, in one sense, question it. That, oh no, this doesn't look like, you know, doesn't make sense, right? However, we have to understand that we have to have full faith on what Prabhupada is saying. Prabhupada is an acharya. He cannot be wrong, because it's not a creation of his own mind. It's coming directly from Krishna. Uh, so snake bite unconsciousness can be recovered by mantra. It's given as an analogy also, that we all are unconscious. We are bitten by the snake of illusion. And so generally, a snake has probably a couple of fangs. But then for us in this whole world, there are so many fangs, so many sense objects, that the moment we see a sense object, we get attacked by the enjoying mentality. And that poisons our spiritual awareness. Just like watching shorts and reels, right? So when we watch shorts and reels, it provides a very rapid, unpredictable reward, which triggers dopamine release in our body. It's a very quick, high stimulation content, right? So it just it creates a boredom with reality, that the real life experiences look very slow and less stimulating. So there is such an overload of sensory processing, and it creates an addictive way. Makes it as an addiction. So that can also be similar to this unconsciousness. There is so much AI-driven algorithms now that can personalize content to maximize our engagement. So uh, it keeps the users hooked to highly, stimulating videos. And actually, nowadays there are dopamine detox techniques available to get you out of that, uh, high adrenaline, high content stimulation, high stimulation content. So that's the analogy here. And as I was mentioning earlier, that this reviving a snake-bitten person by mantras might seem too fantastical. However, in the past, I have done some review around the effect of sound, and I have come out in publications where they have shown that if you can give the right frequency, you can stimulate cells, right? It can stimulate nerves also. There are a lot of muscle reflex effects, and so forth. So, uh, some statement by Srila Prabhupada may not be immediately understandable to us, but that does not diminish their validity. His words are rooted in Shastra, realization of previous acharyas, and his deep spiritual perception. Like a child, may not grasp the full implications of an experienced teacher's instructions. Right? So instead of questioning the validity of what Prabhupada is giving us, we should approach them with faith, humility, and a sincere desire to understand what Prabhupada is telling us through study, prayer, and realizations. So, and once we do it with that seriousness, then Krishna's mercy comes, and then we're able to understand all this. And as we know, Krishna's mercy has no reason. So all we need to do is just keep preparing, have that sincere desire. "Oh, Krishna, I want to understand this. I want to serve Prabhupada. I want to serve you." But when the mercy will come, we don't know. Okay? So there is no reason to it. In the 11th canto, there's a story of a prostitute called Pingala. One night, Pingala gets ready, and she's standing in front of her house, and whoever passes through, she thinks, "Oh, this person is going to enjoy with me, or that person is going to enjoy with me," and but nobody stops. And when the night is about to end, suddenly she gets this realization: "What am I doing? This is just nonsense." So she sings a very famous verse. She says, "Nunam me bhagavad pito Vishnu kenapi karmana." That some way or the other, kenapi, some way or the other, because of my activity, Bhagavan Prito, I've got the mercy of Krishna. So right now we might not be able to understand some things that Prabhupada is explaining to us, but don't Don't approach it with disbelief or lack of faith. Approach it with this thought that I don't understand it. I'm not at that level of maturity. Okay. As long as we are sincere and humble, all knowledge will be revealed to us, and all the knots in our heart will open. When, we don't know, but yes, they will for sure. So Nam Shravan, right? This is Nam Shravan, one thing. Then there is Charitra Shravan, where we are doing Shravan means hearing of the character, pastimes, transcendental activities of the Lord. Right? And then there is also Guna Shravan, that uh, hearing transcendental qualities. Right? As I said, there might be some overlap, but then there is always some distinction. So there is a continuity here. So hearing and chanting. So this is the first step. Hearing and chanting is like watering the Bhakti Lata beach. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we are told that how Mahaprabhu says, "Mali hana kare se bijo aropan." That like a mali, like a gardener, he nourishes the bija, the seed. So what Shravana Kirtan Jale Kare Sechan. That similarly, Shravana Kirtan also do the same job. They help that seed of Bhakti-rata Beej grow. That's the first one that Prabhupada is giving us here. Okay. Hearing. Then the second one is expecting the Lord's mercy. Now, this is a very interesting one. So we all understand that bhakti is a path of grace. We cannot make spiritual advancement by our endeavors. Our endeavors are important for sure, but they're important to show Krishna that we want his mercy. That's the role of endeavors. Prabhupada once saw a man feeding some ducks, and one of the ducks was quacking much more than the others. And the person was feeding that duck more, right? But then to understand that the person was feeding the duck more, but then the quacking was not necessarily the cause of it. Yes, the quacking could have attracted the person's attention, but it cannot force the person to give. So therefore, mercy is called causeless. As a devotees, we expect mercy. That's why Prabhupada has translated expecting the Lord's mercy. But we don't demand mercy. If we start demanding mercy, I will become frustrated if the mercy doesn't come. Okay? So that's something to keep in mind. And Prabhupada is, and this is Prabhupada is giving a very good statement here. Or let's look at the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse number 8. It says, Tatte anukampam susamikshamano bhunjan evatra kritam vipakam vidvag vapurbhir vidadan namaste jivetayo mukti pade sadaya bhak. So let's look at that verse actually. Let's just quickly look at it. Quickly pull it up so that you all can look at this verse. 10, 14, 8. This verse is spoken by Brahma. Brahma's prayers to the Lord. And this is kind of as proof. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So this is the verse that is being quoted here in this. Where's that? In this expecting the Lord's mercy section. And then Prabhupada gives a very good statement. He says, this statement of Srimad Bhagavatam should be the guide of all devotees. A devotee should not expect immediate relief from the reaction of his past misdeeds. No conditioned soul is free from such reactionary experiences, because material existence means continued suffering or enjoying of past activities. Okay, and then Prabhupada says, a devotee who is not perfectly freed from the resultant actions should therefore continue to act in Krishna consciousness seriously, even though there may be so many impediments. When such impediments arise, he should simply think of Krishna and expect his mercy. That is the only solace. So that's all we can do. Just expect Krishna's mercy. If you live your life according to this verse, then Prabhupada is saying towards the end, the exact word used in this verse is Daibhak. Daibhak refers to a son's becoming the lawful inheritor of the property of the father. In a similar way, a pure devotee who is prepared to undergo all kind of tribulations in executing Krishna conscious duties becomes lawfully qualified to enter into the transcendental abode. So that's the beauty of this verse that Prabhupada is giving us, 10:14.8, right? The It's up to Krishna. I put all in Krishna's hand. Right? Whatever may come to me, I say it's Krishna's mercy. This is meant to purify me. That is how we become the inheritor of the kingdom of God. You consider that everything that is coming to me is Krishna's mercy. Right? So that's the way to live in this way. We just have to live in bhakti. So when a devotee expects mercy, we understand we already have been given mercy. Understand that also. That to have that desire to expect mercy is also being given to us by Krishna's mercy. So we have already got some desire, right? So initially, Krishna gives us mercy. We come to the temple, we have prasadam, deities, books, devotees, and so forth. After that, once Krishna has given us this initial bolus of mercy, then he waits and he sees, what are you going to do with this mercy I have given you? Do you have a desire to progress? Or you will just drop off the grid? What are you going to do? And then Krishna sees that, yes, the devotee is practicing, okay? Oh, he's becoming serious, he or she, they have increased their chanting, they're looking for a guru, because, as I've mentioned a million times, without a guru, we cannot progress in bhakti. That doesn't happen. Okay? So then the devotee starts. So then Krishna knows, okay, this person is serious. So then Krishna brings in more mercy. But if we don't use that first bolus of mercy that Krishna has given us, then Krishna doesn't do anything. He'll just, okay, fine. Not this life might be. You might come next life. Might be not now, 10 years from now. But an intelligent person doesn't waste his or her time. They use it as quickly as they can. If there is a guru present, just go ahead and take shelter of that guru. Right. So that's what it means. So to expect Krishna's mercy. Okay. Then comes remembrance. And after remembrance is meditation. There are two things in here, remembrance and meditation. So remembrance in general means to think of Krishna in a general way, right? Whereas meditation involves a deeper contemplation. So there's a difference between both of them. So in remembrance, Prabhupada is saying, he somewhere or the other, if someone establishes in his mind his continuous relationship with Krishna, relationship is called remembrance. Okay? So it's a general remembrance. Whereas in meditation, Prabhupada tells us, to meditate means to engage the mind in thinking of the form of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, the activities of the Lord, and the service of the Lord. So this becomes more specific. So now this has been divided into 4 parts. And let me go there. So 10th. Oh, I didn't put it. Okay, I didn't put it here. So Dhyan is been divided into, Dhyan is the meditation part. It's been divided into 4 parts, 4 types. Okay. Um, 4 or 3 probably. Let's see. Rupa Dhyan. First is Rupa Dhyan, meditation on Krishna's form. Right. So when we go to the deities, see the deities. So we try to meditate on that. We looked at Krishna starting from his feet. Oh, see, Krishna is wearing such nice shoes today. Uh, then next is, oh, you go to his knees, and then his upper part, body parts, and then his face, and that's you are doing Rupa Dhyana. Okay? Um, so if you notice in this material world also there is Rupa Dhyana, right? When a boy sees a girl or a girl sees a boy, there is Rupa Dhyana. But that Rupa Dhyana agitates us. But the Rupa Dhyana on Krishna is soothing, is pacifying, is calming to us. Right? So that's this because it's a spiritual hankering. It's a spiritual Rupa Dhyana. So that calms us. In comparison, a material Rupa Dhyana agitates us. Sometimes, even in spiritual life, you might have some agitation. Uh, like, for example, Narad Muni, after losing his mother, he just leaves. And he's walking and he crosses countries, forests, whatnot. And then he sits down to meditate and he sees the Lord. But after a fraction of a minute, the Lord goes away. And the Narad Muni tries very hard. He's hankering. He says, "Oh, if I could see Lord once again." And he's meditating. But then Krishna speaks, not comes in front of him, but just speaks. And he says, "You won't be able to see me in this life, Narad Muni, because you're not ready." Right? But that intensified his desire. So the spiritual agitation is also beneficial. Right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would do Rupa Dhyan. Whenever he would to go to Jagannath, he would see the deities and he would sometimes faint and sometimes would be just lost in them. So that's Rupa Dhyan. Then there is Guna Dhyan. So Guna Dhyan means meditation on Krishna's qualities. Then I think Prabhupada is bringing those out here. So yes, form of the Lord, qualities of the Lord. So that's the qualities part is Guna Dhyan. And then next is activities. So activities are his, so Krida Dhyan, right? Meditation on Krishna's activities. For example, Mahaprabhu would relish hearing Prahlad Maharaj story. Right? And then there is Seva Dhyan. Last one is meditating on devotional activity. This is most to be done. Seva Dhyan. Meditating on devotional service to Krishna. That's what Prabhupada has taught us. So we focus on that part. And then Prabhupada goes on to tell a story of a Brahmin in South India who was doing meditation in his mind. Okay. So he was very poor. And but then in one meeting, he heard that you could even perform all the activities in meditation. So one day, and then he would do all that. He would collect flowers for Krishna in his meditation, offer them to the deities. One day he was cooking sweet rice, kheer, and in his very deep meditation, he cooks the kheer and he pours it in a bowl. But then he's not sure how hot the kheer is. So he puts his finger in that, and his finger immediately burns. The kheer was so hot, and his meditation breaks. And meditation breaks, and there's no kheer there, but his finger is burnt. That's the power of meditation. So meditation, that kind of meditation is also uh, approved in Shastras. Obviously, you shouldn't all do that. We all should do that. That's a very high level of meditation. For us, meditation on our devotional service is very important. Meditate on the devotional service you have been assigned. Do it sincerely, and Krishna's darshan will happen to all of us. Okay, so this was chapter 10. I'll take a pause here and see if anybody has any thoughts, comments on this chapter before I get into the next one. Anything that caught your attention?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I
Hare
think
Krishna.
that whatever tips you gave today and how to apply it, the way we have to apply it in our life was really great. And I had a question, but I have forgotten about it. It was about the
Okay.
second one, I
Okay.
guess. What was the second one?
Expecting the Lord's mercy.
Yes, expecting Lord mercy. So, how would we really know that we have really achieved the mercy of the Lord? And how can we also meditate to really make ourselves in that mood to expect that mercy?
So how would we know whether we have got mercy?
Yeah,
And
and first, how would we meditate to expect that mercy? What should we do really to expect that mercy? In other words,
so Prabhupada has told us very clearly, being strict, serious, and sincere in our sadhana. I have talked about this a few times in the past. So to the way to come to the come to the point of desiring mercy, you have to be strict, serious, and sincere in your sadhana. What strict means is that you're consistent. So the word strict means we are consistent. We do it every single day, irrespective of whatever happens to us in our lives. Serious means you're mindful. You give it full attention when you do it. So it's not like, okay, yes, I'm chanting, but in my other hand, my phone's there and I'm watching video or I'm doing something randomly. That's not serious. So seriousness is needed. And thirdly, sincere means there should be a motive to please Krishna. Sincere. So even Kansa was remembering Krishna the whole time. But is that the kind of bhakti we should do? No. You have to do anukulena Krishna anushilanam. Anukul, that is favorable bhakti. So that means sincere. So our motive is to please Krishna. Right? So, um, so these are
yes,
the
Prabhu.
these are the ways by which you can develop that desire to expect Krishna's mercy. Okay, because it's a simple. When we are strict and sincere in our practice, that's all what Krishna is expecting from us. So we come to a point where we can, we can put it in front of Krishna. Krishna, I'm trying my best to serve you, and so I'm just expecting your mercy. So when we have put in our part, that gives us the confidence that the mercy will also come to us, right? So Krishna already has plans and instructions for us. If we simply follow those, we will be successful, right? Prabhupada says in one of the which chapter is that? Okay, let me see. Third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, third chapter, verse number 31. If I write, let me see if I can pull it. I just wanted to. I'll read that to you. It talks about 331. Um, it tells how just by following what Krishna has asked us to do, it becomes perfect. So this is 331. Krishna is saying, those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. Now, what Prabhupada is saying, in the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord. But because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. All we have to do is fully discharge the injunction of the Lord without having this sense of defeat and hopelessness. Defeat and hopelessness is also an anartha in our heart. And then Krishna's mercy is surely going to come to us. That's something I wanted to share with you, Mataji. Did
Yeah,
that?
thank you. That's really great help. And then when we expecting, how would we know that we have received His mercy?
So for that, there is a verse in the what does that come? 11th chapter. Um, Bhakti parishanu bhava viraktir anyatha chayata trisha ek kala tapadya manasa sus tushti pushti shudape anubhasha. Let me show you. I think so. The what that is and the analogy is of food. That when you eat food, nobody has to tell you that your stomach is full. Let me see. I'll pull up that verse if I can. I don't remember the verse number, but probably I can. Uh, Bhakti Parishanubhava Virakti. 11th canto. I got the canto right. Give me 1 second. Okay. It says devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment of other things. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger comes simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating. So just as we eat, we know that we are getting full. Nobody has to come and tell us. We feel nourished. We feel stronger, and we feel more energetic. And so similarly, when that mercy comes, you will know when the mercy is coming. So some signs could be. I can give you some hints also, but as I mentioned broadly, it's you will know it. You will know it when the mercy is coming. But in general, what happens is you will become more tolerant. That's one way of looking at it. Things that would disturb you, let's say 2, 3 years ago, don't disturb you anymore. So you become more tolerant of situations, you become more tolerant of the people around you, and they don't affect your bhakti anymore. So that's one sign of mercy that comes early on. Secondly, we initially chant in Nama Aparad. Okay, so there are three stages, right? Nama Aparad, Nama Bhas, Shuddha Nam. Mercy comes, we start, well, even Nama Aparad, even chanting is a mercy, but more mercy comes when then we'll be able to chant with some taste to it. Okay, so that's another way of not guessing, but more of realizing that mercy is coming to us, that I'm able to chant without disturbance and I'm getting some taste. Just like in the morning when we even don't see the sun, but we see that the place is lightening up. So I mean there is some, so that's Nam Abhas. There is some understanding that, oh, the sun is about to rise. That means we are soon to chant with full devotion. So there are some things that I can tell you, Mataji, but I assure you that you will know for sure when that mercy comes to you. It's very individual. It's not that what I told you will also work for you. You might get mercy in some other way, but you'll know it. And you can read this verse further on. I'm not going to read the purport. 11:242.
Okay, Prabhu. But this was very, very helpful.
You're
I
welcome.
mean, it really helps to really focus well and concentrate well in
Yeah.
our day-to-day service, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're
Because
welcome.
receiving mercy, it makes us more enthusiastic and more I mean, committed to the service. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Yeah. And you will see it. But what I'm saying is, Mataji, it's a very simple process what Prabhupada has given us. So simple that sometimes we feel, how can it be so simple? Prabhupada has simply told us, strict, serious, and sincere sadhana, and Krishna's mercy is going to come for sure. So if you are doing it strict, serious, and sincere, mercy is surely going to come. When we don't know, we should always expect. As I said, expecting is good. We should not demand expecting, but we should not put a time limit to it. Sometimes Krishna does not give mercy till the last moment of our lives. I've seen devotees leaving their body and Krishna, like they throughout their lives, no clue, no progress. They were doing some random service here and there, but when they were about to leave, Krishna sends everything: devotees, prasadam, mercy, kirtan going on, books. Somebody's coming and reading Srimad Bhagavatam to you. Your realizations. You never know when Krishna will give mercy. So we should not wait for it. We should expect it, but not set a timeline to it. Setting a timeline frustrates us.
Yes, Prabhu, very well said, actually. I mean, I would say that I'm there, but not there. Just trying. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, anything? Last call. Anything about 10th chapter or we move to 11th? No? Okay. Let's get on to the 11th chapter.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, actually I do have.
Yes, Prabhu, please tell me.
So about mercy, I thought how you can realize the mercy is from as you get opportunity to do more service, you're granted opportunities in a temple to do different additional services as you do more and more services. So um, you could perhaps consider that you've gotten some mercy. There are certain services, like like for example, in DT service, it's just difficult to get that opportunity, and so those who do get that opportunity, perhaps can consider that they gotten some mercy. So that as you take on more services, I thought that it's a symptom of receiving Lord's mercy. So just
Yeah.
wanted to get your thoughts about that.
Thank you very much. That's a very good point you bring out, Prabhu. Because when we do service, we get purified. So Krishna is giving us opportunities for purification, right? So that's a very good point. If we see that we are getting more and more opportunities for service, that surely is Krishna's mercy descending on us. The more service we do, the more purified we get, the more association we get with devotees, and we are making a very tangible uh, contribution or service to Krishna and Prabhupada. Yes, that's a very good point, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay. Then, on the other hand, I also thought, if some reason, are there instances, actually the question is, are there instances when, from the scriptures when the Lord takes away the mercy, and just wondering if you could give a few examples.
So I didn't get your point, Prabhu. So when Krishna takes away mercy,
Yeah. So, for example, someone no longer being able to perform service. So you're just the opposite of what I said earlier. So does that could that be considered? Can that actually happen? Devotees can lose mercy, or not really? Just curious.
well, I think they don't necessarily lose mercy, but sometimes Krishna, to teach a lesson, might take away some service, but it doesn't mean that the mercy is gone. That's not something the way we
Oh,
devotees interpret it. For example, I forgot the name of the
right.
devotee. One of the devotees, uh, Mahaprabhu was at least externally angry on him, and he said that, oh, he cannot come and see me for another 1,000 births. And that devotee became very happy that, oh, after 1,000 births, I'll be able to serve Mahaprabhu again. So sometimes when the Lord does it, it might be even to increase the spiritual hankering. For example, Narad Muni, right? You can say that Narad Muni, Krishna took away that mercy. He came, he
Right.
showed him himself, and then he didn't come. So he gave some mercy and then took away that mercy. So, but then that mercy was for Narad Muni to enhance his spiritual desires and spiritual hankering.
Right.
So that's something that might look as if that mercy has been taken away, but it could be actually Krishna's more mercy to increase that person's hankering. That's the way I see it, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Right. So it's not that Krishna will, you know, so that's the way we should see it. We should not, because if I start seeing it in that way that, okay, this guy used to have so much service, now he doesn't have anything, that means he's done some aparadh. That's not a good way of looking at devotees, right? Personally, Prabhu. That's my thought.
Right. Okay.
So if a devotee loses some service, we should see it that there is something Krishna is doing something in his life. Like many times what happens, Prabhu. I know a devotee family, they were living in San Diego, and they suddenly he lost his job, and within 60 days he had to leave, and they packed everything. They left their house, like sold their house, all the furniture gone, car
Wow.
gone.
Yeah.
They were the last day, they were about to catch a flight to India, and they were staying at their friend's house because they had sold everything off. 6 hours before their flight was about to leave, the person got a message that he's got a job in Microsoft. Just
Well,
6 hours before he was
that,
about to leave. So now you can see it as, oh no, Krishna took away his mercy. He had so much service here at the temple. He used to cook and give classes and do a lot of book distribution. But
right.
that whole process intensified that devotee's desire, and he could understand how uh, temporary this world and unpredictable this world is. So why should I invest my efforts in it? That's the message that devotee took from it. So actually, I see it as more mercy on him rather than seeing it as mercy taken away.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So that's one way of looking at it, Prabhu. That's the way Vaishnavas generally look at when somebody loses some service.
And so, if there are some obstacles to your to one's devotional service, so it's not necessarily a mercy being taken away, huh?
No, Prabhu. No. See, when Prabhupada wanted to create a big business, earn a lot of money, and use it for Krishna consciousness. Krishna didn't have that plan. Krishna took away everything from Prabhupada. His business flopped, everything. And then Prabhupada quoted this verse from the 10th canto. I'll show you, which 1088.8. 1088.8? Is it? I might be 1088.8. This one. This is Krishna, Bhagavan speaking. Yasyaham anugrinami harishe tad dhanam sane tato adhanam tyajanti asya swajana dukha dukhitam. The personality of God had said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another. So this is the verse Prabhupada quoted when he lost all his business. He smiled and he thought of this verse from Bhagavatam. So yes, no, we should not see that as loss of mercy from Krishna.
Okay.
This is 1088.8, just if somebody's recording this verse. It's a very famous verse from the Bhagavatam.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is Jayanti Gopidasi. So
Hare
what
Krishna.
I realize is whenever Lord Krishna, he takes away from devotee whatever it's not required for them, but Lord Krishna has like better plan for them.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Krishna has better plans. Unfortunately, we being in the material world, we don't see it as a positive. And we said, oh, why did Krishna do this to me? We don't realize that Krishna is always taking care of us and he has something good in his mind for us. So yeah, unfortunately we are, but then as devotees become more and more advanced, they see everything as Krishna's mercy.
Yes.
And that's also another sign of advancement. That's it. I was saying that you become more and more tolerant and accepting of the world around you. Yeah, thank you, Mati. That's a very good
Thank
point.
you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Also,
Hare Krishna.
isn't it also a test to see our bhakti when we get things like obstacles?
It is, yes. It's a well, it could be bhakti testing also, or it could be some minor correction that Krishna is doing in our lives. Because once we take to this path, and then Prabhupada tells us that once we get initiated, the Guru takes away all our karma. But then we see devotees are still suffering. Prabhupada explains that the devotees, when they suffer, it's not like they are getting reactions of their karma. It's Krishna who's very specifically custom designing something for a devotee so that he could come out of the last vestiges of material attachment that he or she has left. So yes, you can see it as a test also, but then you can also see it from this perspective that it's Krishna just doing minor corrections. That I was supposed to go 90-degree north, I've suddenly become 92-degree north. So Krishna is slightly correcting it. Nana Premdham, come back. So that's also a way to look at it. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, so how to actually tell the difference between reaction and mercy from Krishna?
As I mentioned, so once we have taken to this path seriously, our karma is gone. Whatever now is happening to our lives is just those minor corrections that Krishna is doing. So that's the way devotees see it. That's the way Prabhupada is explaining to us. So right now you're not suffering karma, your reactions to your karma anymore. It's just Krishna doing minor corrections to your life so that you could just get rid of whatever is remaining. And then that once that is gone, then you will be ready to go back home, back to Godhead. So that's the way devotees see it. Otherwise, somebody could question it, right? Because Krishna himself says, right, that apichet suduracharo bhajante mamananya bhag sadhureva samantavya samak vivosito visa, 9th chapter 30th verse, that apichet suduracharo bhajante mam ananya bhag. Who's bhajante mam, who's my devotee? He might be durachar, he might be the worst of the, he was doing first of the activity. But no, he's still a sadhu. He's still a sadhu. So Krishna, from within the heart, he corrects that devotee. He, gives that correction so that the devotee comes back to his path, and with a minor slap on the wrist, and it's done. So that's the way devotees look at whatever is coming in their lives.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome. To give you a slightly also on a different aspect, Prabhu, devotees also, as I was just mentioning earlier during that section called Expecting Lord's Mercy, where 10:14:8 we read that verse, right? So if we go back to that 10:14:8, so here Brahma says in 10:14:8, all the while that one who waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, is surely eligible for liberation. Okay, when a devotee becomes very advanced, then the devotee starts seeing whatever is happening to him as his, he becomes so humble that he doesn't want to blame anybody for his misdeed, anything that's happening to him. He's so dependent on Krishna that he becomes so humble and like a servitude attitude that he says, okay, no, Krishna, this is my fault. This is my fault. I made a mistake, even though it's Krishna's correction. But that's a very high level of purity. So it's very even hard to understand. Dainya is called Dainya, as we have talked about. Extreme humility. But in general, the way to look at it is that whatever we are going through is Krishna's mercy coming to us in a way of a correction. That's a generic way of looking at it. I just want to give you this other aspect, but this is for a very, very advanced devotee we are talking about, Uttamadhikari kind of a devotee.
Thank you again, Prabhuji.
That made sense, Prabhu? Prabhu?
It did make sense, Prabhu. So I have a follow-up question. So someone that doesn't follow any kind of spiritual life, I know you said before that we shouldn't judge others, but how to explain when we see that, or someone asks us, why am I suffering? How can we explain it without saying, oh, it's your karma, or or something that you've done in your past life, some reaction or something to that extent?
So, well, see, Prabhu, first of all, the concept of karma is not to be applied on others. It's to be applied on oneself, ourselves. I am suffering because of my karma. But if I start judging others that, oh, he's also suffering because of his karma, she's also suffering, then I become hard-hearted. So we should not judge others on the basis of this concept of karma. So that's one thing. But then, Prabhu, you don't necessarily have to tell them bluntly that, oh, you're suffering because of your karma. You can be compassionate with them and try to help them whatever way we can. But if really that person is receptive enough, you can also explain them about the concept of karma without telling them this bluntly that, oh, you are done wrong, so you are suffering. But in India, for example, generally people say, oh, jo Bhagwan ki marzi, whatever Krishna wanted. So that's a very, I would say, a polished way of saying that, oh, Krishna has created this cycle of karma, and so this is just coming to us from Krishna in this way. But yeah, if they are receptive enough, you can explain to them the concept of karma and if they are open. But if they are not, then you should just be compassionate with them, Prabhu. There's not much you can do in that case. Whenever you are in the process of preaching, we always have to be available for people, but not be overbearing on them. We just should be available for them, that whenever the right opportune moment comes, they can come and ask you, and then you can help them and serve them. But till then, you can just continue to serve them in whatever way best possible. If they need compassion, they need a shoulder to cry on, okay, fine. They need some, other support. Okay, yes, they something happened in their family, and so you can cook for them. But then philosophy is not so easy to give to others. Not everybody is ready for it. So you have to also look at for the right moment, Prabhu. There's some thoughts, Prabhu. I know it's a tough thing how to judge and how to explain to others, but those are some thoughts, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so let's jump on to chapter 11. So chapter 11, there are a few points in here. I think, let me see, where's my table. So these are the points that Prabhupada has brought in, and Rupa Goswami. So there is a talk about servitorship, friendship, surrender. So these are the last three of the 9, right? Which Prahlad Maharaj which Prahlad Maharaj quotes in his verse that I was quoting from the seventh canto. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padsevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. So these are the last of the 9 processes of bhakti. And then there are some other ones, but these all are coming from the list of 64 that we have seen in the 6th chapter. Okay, so let's look at servitorship. Okay. Servitorship. So servitorship, as is saying, is offering oneself, right? So that's what servitorship means. And now servitorship is of 2 types. Let me show you on the slide I made. So that's same servitorship. So one is karmarpanam, that is offering one's activities to the Lord, and the other is kenkaryam. Kenkaryam is serving in the mood of a personal attendant. So these are the 2 kinds of dasyam or servitorship that we can do. Okay. So the first one is called karmarpanam, offering the fruits of one's prescribed duties in varnashrama. Okay. So as we have talked about in the past, varnashrama is meant to lead us to bhakti. So varnashrama by itself is not pure bhakti. It's not pure devotion, right? But then some people in the other sects of Vaishnavas, they also consider it as bhakti. But for us as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, that's not considered as bhakti, right? That alone does not constitute bhakti. Right? It's not, if work is worship, as I've heard many times from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, if work is worship, donkey is the most self-realized. So, but then Bhagavad Gita tells us how to convert that work to worship. Okay, work is not worship by itself, but Bhagavad Gita teaches us that how we can go from this karpanam, where we are offering the fruits of our prescribed duties, how can we go from there to bhakti? Okay, so that's karmarpanam, which is, so it's offering fruits of varnashrama, and then there's offering 9 main devotional life. So the first part of karmarpanam is offering the fruits of varnashrama, which I was just referring to, which is not considered as pure bhakti. The next step, offering the 9 main devotional activities, which is Shravana, Kirtanam, so forth, that is considered as bhakti. Okay, so that is considered as bhakti, and that's what Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, in that verse that I was just quoting, that's the following verse to that is Iti Pum Sharpita Vishnu Bhakti Chain Navalakshana. So these are the Navalakshana of bhakti. So offering the 9, which is a part of Karmarpanam, is offering the 9 processes of bhakti to Krishna, and that is devotion according to Gaudiya Vaishnavas, right? So, those are the 2 parts of Karmarpanam. So that's Karmarpanam. The second part is Kenkaryam. So the word Kenkaryam means in the mood of a personal attendant. Okay, like here I offer oneself. In this earlier step Karmarpanam, it was more of offering, some how to say it, So we were offering some activities to Krishna. But here, Kankaryam means I'm offering myself. Kim karoti iti kinkara. So this phrase from Sanskrit means that the servant is asking, Kim kara, what should I do? What shall I do for you, my Lord? So this reflects the ideal mood of a devotee, always eager to serve, and he's asking Krishna or the spiritual master, what can I do for you? That's true servitude. That's the true dasya bhav. It's not about obligation. It's about joyful willingness to fulfill the Lord's desire. And this is the concept, this as a concept is central to Bhakti Yoga. Even Mahaprabhu in his Shikshashtakam, he says that. Ay Nanda Tanuja Kinkara. The word Kinkara comes in there also. Kinkara. So Kinkara. Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Budhav. Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sita Duli Sadrisham Vinchita. Where he's saying that some way or the other I have fallen into this material ocean. So please pull me. Right? Kinkara. So there the other source come. Right? But then this is as I said, this is a very high philosophy, considering ourselves as personal servant of Krishna. Even in this world, Prabhupada taught us to call each other Prabhu. But then how much of that do I believe it? So something to think about this attitude that what shall I do? This question. So we have to come to that level where we are able to do it to that extent that we can ask Krishna, what can I do as a personal attendant to Krishna or my spiritual master? So that's Dasya. Next is Sakhyam. Okay. So where is that? This is servitor. So Sakhyam. So Prabhupada tells us devotional service in friendship can be divided into two categories. The first is to act as the confidential servant of the Lord, and the other is to act as the well-wisher of the Lord. Okay. So servant and a well-wisher. Okay. But one thing very interesting to see here is Prabhupada is not saying that the Lord is a well-wisher of the devotee. He's saying it other way. He's saying the devotee is a well-wisher of the Lord. It's a very, very interesting and a profound statement Prabhupada has made here. That a devotee is a well-wisher of the Lord. But then how does a devotee become a well-wisher of the Lord? Prabhupada explains this further. Right? He says that anyone who is preaching the confidential message of the Gita to the people in general is so dear to Krishna that no one can be equal to him in human society. A devotee because Krishna says, right, oh, don't tell my message to people who are envious. But a devotee even goes and tells them, Jagai Madai, right, Haridas Thakur and Nityanand Prabhu, they go and tell them the message. So they become a well-wisher to the Lord because the Lord's heart is that I want the welfare of every single living entity. Unfortunately, because of their free will, those entities are not ready to come to me. But a devotee has no restriction. He will go to them also. And that is why the devotee becomes a well-wisher of the Lord. Because he knows what's in my Lord's heart. And he's ready to take every challenge for it, to serve Krishna for that. That is why how the devotee becomes a well-wisher of the Lord. And Lord automatically is our well-wisher. But then that person becomes very dear to Krishna. So preaching is the most, how to say, the quick way to get into Krishna's mercy, get Krishna's mercy. Okay, so that's Sakhyam. Right? Sakhyam. And the Sakhyam is of two types I will put there, which is Vishwas. So Vishwas means faith. The word Vishwas means faith. Right? So for example, Draupadi calling out to Krishna with great intensity. That was Vishwas. She had that immense faith that Krishna is going to come and protect me. Right? So when we read the 9 steps of bhakti, right? Shraddha, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivriti, then Nishtha, Ruchi, Bhakti, and so forth, that keeps coming. So in what is happening in that? Our Shraddha is increasing at each of the step. Right? So there's a deeper result of faith. That intensity with which Draupadi called out to Krishna was a very deeper result of faith. Right? So the process of bhakti is a deepening of faith as we keep growing. Right? And we all have things that give us faith. Something might be giving you faith and might not give me faith. It might vary. So we all have to take inventory of what gives us faith and practice those things more regularly. Right? Write down your spiritual experiences and read them. Whenever you are low, read them. Whenever you are low on your faith, when it's a bit shaky, you see devotees doing something they shouldn't be doing. And you say, oh my God, am I in the right place? No, no, go back and look at your spiritual experiences. That will bring that faith back. So the way to increase faith in Krishna is, how to say it? What's that? There are three kinds of faith, right? Krishna, I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past. One is Lokika Shraddha, right? Oh, my parents did it, that's why I'm doing it. We don't have much understanding. So this is Lokika Shraddha. Other one, the next Shraddha is Baldut Pradita. So Baldut Pradita means somebody has forcefully given us that Shraddha. Like Prabhupada, pure devotees of the Lord. They can forcefully give bhakti to somebody. Whether that person is able to sustain it or not, that's that person's challenge. So that's kind of one Shraddha. But the most important Shraddha is Shastriya Shraddha. Shastriya Shraddha means it's a natural faith that comes from understanding what we are doing here. We don't have to become scholars, no, not needed, but we need to understand the principles. Right? Devotees are not trying to teach us and convince us that Krishna exists. No, no, that's not what they're doing. They are equipping us with the tools and practices by which we can experience Krishna for ourselves. And for that perspective, Shastriya Shraddha is the most important one. That is why reading books is very important. Unfortunately, in the movement, people don't read books, Prabhupada's book. I'm not talking about you, you all are scholars. But in general, I have noticed, and it really hurts me sometimes, that I give books to somebody and they'll say, oh, no, I'll come later, I'll take it later. They don't understand the value of these books. Without these books, the temple is nothing other than any other Hindu temple. But it's Prabhupada's books that make a difference. And that's the way to increase our faith in Krishna, by Shastriya Shraddha, by understanding why am I doing it. Why do we do 6 aartis every day? Why do I take the everything in circles? Why don't I just stand still in front of Krishna? So these things, I'm just giving you some random words here, but these things give you strength in the faith in the process. That this is the reason we are doing it. It's not just like a random ritual. It's a very thought out, scientifically driven ritual that is brought into the practice. So yes, that's the way to look at that's the way to increase faith in Krishna. Just wanted to quickly mention that. But I just love this sentence which Prabhupada says that the devotee becomes a well-wisher to the Lord. I just was very impressed when I read that. Okay, so that's one type, which is Vishwas. The other is Mitra. Sorry, not Maitri, Mitra. So Mitra means, sorry, why am I jumping back and forth here? So Mitra, where is Mitra? Yeah, so confidential friend. Okay, so Mitra is like, you see, I'm reading the 10th canto right now. I'm in my 10th canto and reading of Bhagavatam. And today I was reading about the Brahmam Vimohan Leela. There was a purport where I was reading and Prabhupada was mentioning that how Krishna's friends can sometimes jump on his shoulder, right? Sometimes they even fight with him and defeat him. And it confuses everybody. That, oh my God, this is Krishna, who's the Supreme Personality of God, and here he's defeated by another cowherd boy. How can that happen? But that is out of love. That is the Mitra that is being referred to here. There is a verse in the 10th canto where we are told that the Sutta Goswami is just, he's amazed at the mercy that these Gopas have got. Itam satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradayagate maya shutanam naradarkena sakam vijrahu krita punya punja. And what austerities these boys have done that they can jump onto Krishna's shoulder, eat his food, fight with him and defeat him in a wrestling match. We talk about Krishna, who's the Supreme Personality of God. So that is the Mitra concept, the friendliness. That's that's a higher level of bhakti. Okay, so that's Mitra. And do I have something? No. So let's just go back to this. Then comes Atma Nivedana, surrendering everything to the Lord. So that's the last step of those nine processes that we read about, that Prahlad Maharaj talked about. Now, Prabhupada is giving details here that Atma is, the word Atma in Bhagavad Gita, for example, is used for many different things. Similarly, Prabhupada is highlighting here. So Atma can mean the soul, Atma can refer to the mind, and Atma can also refer to the body. So Prabhupada is saying that when you offer these things, Atma, that becomes Atma Nivedan, right? Accordingly, different things. For example, Bali Maharaj, Vamandev conquered the whole universe and he wanted to put his third step somewhere. So Bali offered his head. That was equivalent to offering his body. That's just one mean. When say Atma Nivedan, when the Atma word is referring to the mind, that means full mental surrender. Okay? If Atma refers to the spirit self, spirit soul, then Atma is referring to full surrender of the self-identity. And Prabhupada has very brilliantly quoted one poem from Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Manasa deho geho jo kichu mora. I think I have that. Let me show you that prayer. It's a very beautiful song. If you listen to it. And Prabhupada goes on to quote it in many ways. Maro bhi rakho bhi jo ichha tohar, nitya dasa prati tohara adhikar. So let me see if I can quickly show you some verses from there. Oh no, this is it. No. Let me see. Manasa Deho Geho. This is a song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and the song itself name is Atma Nivedan song. So what he's saying, Manasa Deho Geho Jo Kichu Mora Arapilu Tuva Pade Nanda Kishora. And then he says, Maro Bhi Rakho Bhi Jo Ichha Tohar Nitya Dasa Prati Tuva Adhikar. So what it says, slay me or protect me as you wish. You are the master of your eternal servant. And I'm offering everything, my mind, body, and family. I'm surrendering to your lotus feet. So Prabhupada is quoting this verse here, this poem here, in this Atma Nivedan part, right? And then there is this Prabhupada is quoting, or Rupa Goswami is quoting Hari Bhakti Vivek, where the concept is that we are like an animal. We don't have nothing. We don't have to think about our maintenance, sustenance, because I have given up my body and soul to Krishna. So I become an animal. I'm sold to Krishna. Right? So that's Atma Nivedan being talked about here. Then after Atma Nivedan comes offering a favorite article to Krishna. Okay. So Nija Priyo Paharanam. That's the way to say. So now Prabhupada is saying that the best thing in his possession or anything which is pleasing to him. So there are two things, two way of offering, two things that we can offer. One is that is my favorite. But then I can also give something that is Krishna's favorite. Peacock feathers. Krishna likes peacock feathers. Krishna likes bugle horns. Krishna likes a flute. I can offer those also. So both of them are included here. We can cook food that Krishna likes. Or we can even cook food that we like and then we offer to Krishna. But then that helps purify us for sure. But that's also offering a favorite article. And we can sometimes get a lot of information from the literature of the six Goswamis. What does Krishna like to eat, and that so and so forth. So we can cook that for Krishna. Right? Then after that comes performing all endeavors for Krishna. Tadarthe akila chet sheshatam. So everybody can easily perform this aspect of bhakti yoga. For example, Prabhupada says, a devotee who has a great establishment or factory may offer the fruits of such material possession for the service of the Lord. Okay. Right? And then there's Sharanagati. This is surrendered soul, being a surrendered soul. Right? Now, it might look like that we just read Atma Nivedan. That also looks like surrendering everything to the Lord. And then Sharanagati also sounds similar. But there's a slight distinction between both of them. Atma Nivedan means surrendering everything to the Lord, means self-dedication, but that dedication may or may be without a feeling of subservience. Bali Maharaj is an example of Atma Nivedan that I gave. right? He was, but then till then he had not fully understood. He was not fully subservient or dependent on the Lord. He had not come to that level. After that, surely he came, but till then he was not there. So he was not Sharanagati. He was Atma Nivedan. So Sharanagati is full surrender. It has dedication. It has also uh, subservience, surrender, and dependence on Krishna. Okay, so that's Atma Nivedan. And the last is serving uh, trees such as Tulsi. Okay. Uh, there is a lot of references. Prabhupada make a lot of quotes here that simply by seeing, by praying to the Tulsi, is very purifying, it's very auspicious for us. So Tulsi is a manifestation of Radharani, right? Obviously, Tulsi has medicinal values, but devotees don't obviously use it for medicinal values. We see it as a prasad from Krishna. So when we get Tulsi, we just chew and eat it. There are different manifestations of Krishna, and we reciprocate differently to each one of them. All these steps we can make swift spiritual advancement by these steps. Okay, so this was the 11th chapter. I'll take a pause and see if anybody has any thoughts or questions around this chapter, or any comments around it. No? Okay. Well, I think then that's the end here.